Welcome back into Talking Fitchburg. Joining me this morning from the Fitchburg Historical Society, it's Adrienne. She's the secretary for the Fitchburg Historical Society. You've been on the show before to talk some history, but today we're talking about Centennial Farms in Fitchburg, and you guys had a display up recently over at the Historical Society.
Right, and thank you for having me again. It was a pleasure the last time, and I'm looking forward to doing it today. We did a display on Century Farms in our display case in the Fitchburg room of the Public Library. And I'm here to tell you about Century Farms. First of all, Century Farms is an issue that happens in almost every state of the Union and various regions of Canada. And they have rules that describe what constitutes a century farm. Mm-hmm. And so century farms have existed as long as governments have existed, and they honor people who have century farms because it's a big thing.
Right.
In Wisconsin, Century Farms began when Wisconsin became a state, and I'm going to throw in some history now, on May 29th, 1848. So that was the starting point at which Century Farms were calculated in Wisconsin. So the first award certificates for Century Farms in Wisconsin happened in 1948. And then after that, 50 years later, the first awards for 150 years of farming were then issued in 1998. I want to read you the definition of what the Wisconsin title of the Century Farm certification is.
Absolutely.
It's in Wisconsin, it's called the Century and Sesquicentennial Farm and Home Program. The awards are given through an office at the Wisconsin State Fair. People have till X amount of time early in the year to apply for the award, and then a ceremony is done in August at the State Fair. In Wisconsin, you have to have legal definition of ownership, and you have to prove by documentation that you own a century farm, and then a certificate is prepared by the Wisconsin State Fair people, and there is a big ceremony. They do all of the state farm work in West Allis at the State Fair for the entire state.
Wow.
According to the internet, we have given out, since 1948, over 8,500 Century Farm and Home certificates. They don't break down how much that is individually. And over 600 sesquicentennial awards. When I talked to the people at the State Farm office, because I needed data to do the display that we did, they said they have many more farm applications than they have home applications, but they both apply. So if you have an old home and the family folks are still using it, you can also get the certification.
I didn't know that.
The certification, as I said, consists of a certificate, and the certificate is co-sponsored by Hillshire Farms, the people that produce meat products. Mm-hmm. Their name is actually in the corner of the certificate.
And you have a copy of that certificate as well.
Yes, I have a copy of the certificate, which you can show to the audience later. Also, the people at Hillshire Farms have been involved for quite a long time. So that's the background of the Century Farms display that we prepared at the Historical Society. Currently in Fitchburg, there are 18 Century Farms. And there are also 5 farms that are sesquicentennial. That means they've been around for over 150 years.
That's incredible.
We didn't talk about or display anything about the sesquicentennial people, but since it's in the title of the application, I thought I would let you know how many there were. Excuse me. The reason we did that is we wanted to honor the farmers who have enough courage and stalwart steadfastness, et cetera, to own a farm and operate it for over 100 years. And secondly, we also wanted to identify that 100 years ago, we are going to be celebrating in April next month the 100th anniversary of the United States entry into World War I. And we wanted to identify what the home front was like, that the people who were fighting in World War I were there to defend. So actually, we have a vivid explanation of that because the farms are still operating.
Which, again, is just, it's incredible. It's so impressive that in Fitchburg, I mean, that we have so many.
Right.
And
right.
That just goes a long way to say, the original history of Fitchburg being that of a farming community.
Fitchburg, history is a living thing, and it is present here in Fitchburg a lot in all of the things that we do from the past, either by telling stories or by having displays or whatever it is. So again, this was the precursor to our current historical annual meeting, which is happening in April, and we will have a speaker that will describe the 100th anniversary of the entry into World War I, and we're going to call it, stories about men and women who were in World War I. And we now have another display showing the pictures of those people, both overseas and at home, that did World War I activities.
Yeah, and that's going to be a really fun event coming up here.
On Sunday, April 30th.
You read my mind.
At 1:30 p.m. on the second floor of the Fitchburg Public Library.
Perfect. Adrian, thank you so much for coming in and talking with us today. I wish we had more time to keep going in, but you can always stop over at the Historical Society, visit see the other displays that are there, and again, we'll look forward to seeing you guys at the event.
Thank you. History is talking about life, and I was very happy to talk about history with you.
I appreciate it. All right, we'll take a very quick break. We'll be right back. It is Talking Fitchburg.